From Austin to the world, where the dream unfolds, Czech and Slovak hearts, brave and bold. Lukas AmeriCast, yeah, the stories roll. Real lives, real dreams, real stories to be told. Lukas AmeriCast.
So, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lukas AmeriCast. And today we've got, for all of you, a very special treat. Because we are recording right here in the heart of Moravia, Texas, and right in this amazing old Czechs and historical Moravia Store barn. And joining us is none other than Austin Sappington, also known as Slavic Bros. So Austin, let me welcome you in here. I'm so excited to have you here. Thanks for coming. And also big welcome to our audience tuning in. And I believe let's dive in and start this or kick off this episode.
Sounds good. Zdarec, kamoši. Lukáš, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm really looking forward to this.
All right, wonderful. So, Austin, let's start with the first question. So, for those who don't know Slavic Bros, so tell me, who is Slavic Bros, or who are Slavic Bros?
So, Slavic Bros is plural, but actually at this phase, it's just me. And the focus of Slavic Bros is really promoting Czech and Slovak cultures. I kind of go through phases. In the past, I did a lot of the Texas Czech or Czechs culture. Right now, I'm kind of going through a South Moravian phase, but all around, it really is focused on the Czech and Slovak space, home countries, as well as the diasporas. And I like to add a little bit of like Slovenian culture in there too, because I like it and feel like it's pretty similar.
Okay. Tell me, was there a specific moment when you realized or when you actually started wanting to tell who Slavic Bros is or what Slavic roots or where they come from? So was there a specific moment for you?
Yes, it was kind of like a couple of different moments. The first came when I left a small town like this here and studied at the University of Texas in Austin. And I felt so out of place. Like there was like nobody there like me. I didn't know anybody there because everybody from my town went to other universities. And so it really kind of made me want to explore my Czech roots because I got thrown in with a bunch of, I'll be honest, rich kids from the cities. And I was like, yeah, we have a little bit of a cultural difference here. And so that really got me started in wanting to explore my Czech roots. Then moving to Washington, D.C. for graduate school, that's when I started what would become Slavic Bros because I was there. It was the pandemic and I missed home. I had also just gotten back. I had studied abroad in Czech Republic that summer, met a lot of Czech friends, and I was really missing it. So that sort of inspired it.
All right. When it comes to your family roots, so where does your own family roots come back to, or where does your ancestry comes back to? Is it like a Czech, Slovak, Polish, or any other Central European country? So how is that?
Yes, I'm pretty much an equal mix of Czech and German. All of my Czech family on my mom's side comes from Moravia, specifically the Valašsko area. So Zlín, those hills around there. That's where this hat comes from. And then a little bit Slovak too. One of my great-great-grandparents was Slovak, but otherwise they're all pretty much from that Valašsko area. Then my dad is Northern German, but I don't know the specifics of where they're from. Growing up, it was much more Czech than German, I will say.
Okay. That's interesting. What brought you in Texas? I mean, you're born and raised here?
Mm-hmm.
So that's... Mm-hmm.
Born and raised in Texas, and my families have been in Texas since like the early 1900s.
Yeah. When did you realize that, I don't know, Czechs and content could appear in your posts, or how this
kind of just evolved? The original focus was like, I guess, just Czech content, but then people started saying, especially to the music, that's not Czech music, that's something different. I was like, okay, it's Czechs, because there were t-shirts around that had Czechs on them already, and people were kind of saying it colloquially just as like a joke. And I was like, it started on TikTok actually. TikTok back in the day and still today is always a place of drama. So some people were kind of giving me crap, and I was like, all right, it's Czechs, and it kind of just went from there.
All right. Who are your audiences? Are these like Americans being interested in Slavic culture, or are these like people from Central Europe living abroad, or who's the audiences?
Honestly, Czechs and Slovaks in general, both in Central Europe and in the diasporas across the board, and then people of different nationalities who are interested in Czech and Slovak type culture. I would say the loudest groups, though, like those that are the most vocal in my audience, are probably Czech Americans, especially Czechs, as well as Chicago Czechs.
Mm-hmm.
These days, a lot of South Moravians, and then a lot of Mexicans, Mexican Americans who are interested in the Czech music and dancing, as well as increasingly a lot of like Czechs in Brazil and Argentina.
Okay, that's interesting. So it means pretty much worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
Many continents, more continents than just one or two.
Yeah, it spans 3 different continents.
All right. And when it comes to Slavic, so what does Slavic mean to you personally?
For me personally, Slavic is kind of like ethno-linguistic group. I would like to compare it maybe to like Latino for like Mexicans, Cubans, Argentinians. You know, there's that commonality there, but also you have the pretty different cultures. Like, I mean, perhaps like Czech and Russian culture are very different, just like, you know, Mexican and Argentinian culture are very different, but still like there's like some common background that you can find in some traditions, and languages are somewhat similar. I mean, Czech and Slovak, you can understand each other. Polish somewhat too. So like there's kind of that connection too. But I would not call myself a pan-Slavist, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I would call myself more like an inter-Slavist or maybe Austro-Slavist, meaning that I like to focus a lot on like the Central European type Slavic cultures. So Czech, Slovak, Slovenian, a little bit Polish, and Croatian too. Polish people, though, I mean, they're really, really popular. Like, they're really big. They got a lot of stuff out there. So I kind of focus more on the Czech, Slovak, and Slovenian.
All right. What I really like, but because you belong to like a younger generation who can spread the word like virtually in a digital world, so you're pretty active on social media. I wanted to ask one thing. So when it comes to when you actually start first posting, so what kind of content did get the biggest reaction? It's post by post. You see the numbers. So what was the content that people or your audience was most interested in?
So it was kind of different on each platform. So TikTok originally was the main focus. Back then, Instagram was very slow, so I didn't even really care that much about it. On TikTok, honestly, what really blew up was guess if the song is Czech or Mexican or Slavic or Latino. Those blew up big on TikTok. And then also content that was kind of just goofy, like wearing a cowboy hat with Croy, things like this. On Instagram, also like those guess if the song is Slavic or Latino blew up pretty big. But also a lot of content that kind of like looked at Czech and Slovak culture, like which Czech region dances the best, which Czech polevka is your favorite. Content like this has done very well on Instagram. And now increasingly it's a lot of just kind of like just showing people dancing that's doing well. Facebook, what really blew up was when I first started, I was experimenting with everything. So I would make these goofy lyric videos to old, like, you know, Czech folk songs. And those blew up on Facebook. Nowadays, I don't do those as much. I actually don't do those at all anymore. But that's really kind of how I got big on Facebook, was those.
Cool. I noticed that you got like 1,000 followers on Instagram, 1,000 followers on Facebook. So you're pretty active. So it spreads in the like a younger generation, which is great. By the way, this weekend there is another Český večer, Czech night. And I received a flyer, which was like an old school done, you know, and so this helps a lot because you go like a modern way to spread the word about Slavic roots versus the older generation who they are still old school, so spreading their word their way. So this is great that you bring actually younger generation to these older guys who've lived here for a while, and you're bringing like a young energy and young blood to these events for, let's say, older settlers, right? That's how we. And within your production, you mix humor, history, and pride, right? How do you manage to keep the balance?
That's a really good question. I would say, honestly, kind of just, I would say just being myself, I guess. Like, kind of just, I never even thought about it being a balance. I guess it's kind of just me being myself. Like, when I tell history, I kind of, I like to tell it like in a humorous kind of way, sometimes somewhat sarcastic, sometimes kind of dark. And so, kind of just being myself with that in that regard. A lot of it is just kind of just posting and just seeing how things go. Sometimes I'm cringe, sometimes I'm a little bit too spicy, temperamental, but kind of just go with it and kind of just learn with time how to balance it all. I would say to like people starting, just don't be afraid to be yourself and just post. And then you might look back later and say, hey, that looks a little bit cringe, but hey, if it did well, it did well. So
Cool.
it all kind of builds up.
Just curious, did you ever get any ban or any hates on what you're posting? Just curious.
No ban, but there is drama. There is drama that does come around. There are crazy people on the social media platforms, but I will be honest, it is Facebook that is the craziest. I mean, TikTok, you have the young kids, teenagers who are crazy. Instagram, sometimes you'll get some crazy far right and far left people on there, but it is Facebook where that just drives me the most crazy because it's people on there that are very stuck in their ways, and it's like if they don't like you, they will be very vocal. And then I try not to get bogged down in the drama, but sometimes I just get moody and I kind of respond and I kind of do it like in a either I get very spicy or I kind of get sarcastic or both, and that's kind of how I balance it.
Okay. Do you remember what was the moment when you realized that actually what Slavic Bros does goes beyond just to be a hobby? Is there a certain moment you realize?
I would say right now, over the past couple months, I'm like, well, this is not. I mean, it is still a hobby. I don't make any money from it, aside from like collaborations with people occasionally. But I've kind of began to realize, like, given the following, that it has an impact. So I kind of have to be. I'm starting to realize more and more. I need to kind of be more careful with some of the things I post, like because people all over the world are going to see it. So I'm like, it's not just like the small town Texas audience anymore, or some friends in Czech Republic. It's people all over. So I kind of have to balance it and really. I guess what I'm saying is I'm at that moment now where I'm like, hey, I kind of need to think before I post.
Mm-hmm. Within my prep work for this interview, I did a little research. So you got followers from all around the world. I'd like to know if are there any other followers they share their diaspora stories from their countries they live in?
Yeah, there is several actually. Like I follow a couple of different. First that comes to mind are Mexican American content creators. We follow each other and are supportive to each other. Niche communities in Mexico, like Mennonites in Chihuahua, which I didn't even know existed. As well as, of course, going back home, a lot of different Czech and Slovak creators, a lot of Balkan creators that are doing the same things with their countries, Croatians, Serbians, Romanians, trying to think who else. Some Brazilians too I follow, and we kind of talk with each other. Really, it kind of stays like in that Slavic/Balkan and Latino type spaces, because that just, I don't know, that's just kind of where I've met the most people, I would say.
That's interesting part of that, what you mentioned. You mentioned like a Mennonites community in Chihuahua. I was there 3 weeks ago with zero Spanish there because we've launched our business in Mexico. I met a few guys from that community there. They speak 4 languages, young kids, managing farms down there. So if I say Slavic Bros down in Chihuahua, state of Chihuahua, Mexico, they might know you. You got followers down there. Cool. That's cool. I'll ask them. I'll be there in 2 weeks.
I don't know if they'll know, but maybe if they've seen those Guess the Song is Czech or Mexican videos, maybe they would have seen me from that.
Okay. So when it comes to topics, so how do you come up with new topics? Is it like a spontaneous, or is it based on a careful research? How do you bring the topics?
That's a good question. Mixture of both, I would say. Like some of it is spontaneous. It kind of goes with my moods as well as what people are asking for, as well as experiences that I had that usually are kind of driven by what people are asking for or what they're wanting to share. So, I mean, right now it's kind of going through like a South Moravian type phase because I went to Hody in Bodjetica. My good friend Lenka invited me, and it was so much fun. And that was kind of, they had been wanting me to post more Moravian content for a while. They were like, you know, Czechs are doing cool stuff, but post the authentic too. And so once I got to go, I fell in love and kind of, I was amazed. I mean, hundreds of young people dancing. Like we're trying to get the young people involved here. So seeing that many young people involved in small towns over there was very inspirational. And so kind of going through the Moravian phase now, it kind of goes, sometimes it's drama driven. Like recently somebody commented a very off the wall thing. She says that she's from East Moravia, from Valashko, and there's a group of Czechs that return to Valashko and are flying Confederate flags. And I'm like, that is the biggest load of BS I've ever heard. Because first of all, like it's not easy for Czechs to return. Most of them do not have Czech citizenship. So if they went, they're going illegally. And Czechs are not that big on the Confederate flag. I'm not saying that no Czech has ever flied it, but like you will not see Confederate flags around here. You'll see Texas flags, Czech flags, and American flags, or maybe Don't Tread on Me flags. So due to that comment, I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell the story about like the Czechs who were here during the American Civil War and what they were up to, because they were not supporting the Confederacy at that time. So, you know, it's driven by just different factors.
Cool. I'm at the beginning. You're far further. Your experience influencer right now based on numbers. What tools or creative routines help you to stay consistent in your posting, in editing? So what are the tools you use?
Well, I use very simple tools. I usually edit my videos in TikTok, actually. I do use CapCut sometimes, but I have found that CapCut, for some reason, in my opinion, reduces engagement, or I don't know, maybe it's just like in my head, but I feel like when I use CapCut, engagement is not as high as it is when I just edit on TikTok. So my videos across all platforms are usually edited in TikTok, actually. Only will I really use CapCut if I need to do like noise cancellation or something like this. Of course, others say they go more viral with CapCut. So everyone's got their own preferences, I would say.
Yeah. I need to ask you more in detail once we're finished with this interview. I'm really interested because I think what you do that pretty well. Question. So Texas is well known, and we both know there is a huge community of Czechs and Slovaks here. So when you first got in touch with them, so what was the most surprising moment, or what surprised you the most when you met them, or when you met this culture?
Well, I grew up in it, so like I kind of had like the background, but I think what pleasantly surprised me the most was just the number of like young people that are wanting to get involved now. Because when I was growing up, like, you know, in the 2010s and late 2000s, it wasn't cool like it kind of is now. Like back then it was like, oh, y'all are just basic white people. And I'm like, no, we're not. Like we have like our own culture and everything that's different than like just like the standard, like, you know, American white person. I mean, of course, our skin is white, we're Caucasian, but we have our own culture. And now I feel like it's just, there's a lot of like interest amongst the young people to want to explore it and, you know, pursue their culture, promote their culture. And, you know, the desire to kind of back then people were scared to be different. Nowadays people embrace difference.
Following that, so how would you describe like a Czechs culture to someone who never ever heard that word?
Just an adaptation of Czech culture to Texas, where like a lot of it is coming from like that Eastern Moravia area. So words specific to like a few villages in East Moravia are what a lot of people here know, like Ogar for kluk, for example. Other words too, bacha, as well as music that is kind of like taking that Czech roots that has kind of evolved in Texas. Some call it Czechs, some call it Texas Czech. Some joke that it's Czech Mex, but it's got the Czech language kind of sung in a southern accent and with a heavy emphasis on the accordion and a bass guitar.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Is there a tradition, or what's your favorite Czech or Moravian or Slovak tradition you featured on? Online or in person, whatever?
Dancing. Definitely the dancing. I like to feature the dancing. I like to feature like young people dancing and, you know, kind of dancing in new and spicy ways.
Cool. Are we going to be dancing tonight?
Maybe.
We might be.
If some people come out, yeah.
We've got the song, right? So we might be dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what it brings. So how do Texans react when they see something like your outfit or you performing the Czechoslovak behaviors or any traditions? How do they react?
Usually pretty warmly. I would say like probably 80% are pretty warm to it and open to it. There is like a 20% that's kind of negative, but you don't really see them much in person. It's only online, and they're just being assholes.
Mm-hmm.
But usually pretty warmly in person, like they're really interested and then kind of like seeing what it's like and learning. Because although Texas has the largest Czech community in the U.S., Texas is such a big state with such a big population that like it's not mainstream. Like, you know, it's not mainstream that like the Mexican culture is, even the German culture kind of is. It's kind of very niche. Like they see it and they're like, hey, that's really cool. I'm really glad that y'all are embracing your roots and everything.
Mm-hmm. And have you ever faced any like a misunderstanding when performing or introducing like a Czech-Slovak culture to Texans? You know what I mean? Like something they didn't understand that as I meant.
I would say that's something I have to think about a little bit here. Like I would say rarely. I would say very rarely. Usually they're pretty like warm and open. There is kind of some behind the back talk that probably goes on in like gossip, where some people just think everyone should just be like just plain Americans, you know, so they don't really like to see like different types of diversity. Some people think that white people have no culture, and so like there's that misunderstanding where they think that like, oh, the Czech culture doesn't really exist in Texas. No, it does. Czech culture is also extremely vibrant in Europe and every Czech diaspora community. But usually these are just people that you wouldn't really associate with in real life. You mostly find them online.
Okay. And you meet people from both sides. Would you say, or the question would be, is there something that Americans could learn from Slavic people? And on the other hand, is there something that Slavs could learn from Texans?
Lots of things. There's a lot of things I think Americans could learn from Slavic people, especially Czechs and Slovaks. I mean, a more laid-back mentality would be good to learn. A more laid-back mentality and rhythm of life, less stress, being more laid back with the alcohol, but also teaching boundaries better. I mean, here it's like kids go crazy with alcohol when they're in college because the parents don't teach them responsibility with it. And like they just go to college and they're like, oh, we're free. And they abuse it. They get drunk and do bad things. I mean, of course that happens in every culture, but I feel like Czechs, if they start the kids young, it's like you're starting to drink when you're young with the parents and like you kind of learn more responsibility with the alcohol. As well as just loosening up. I feel like Czechs are just so much more loose and laid back with dancing. I mean, even me, like I was kind of uptight with the dancing, and it's like as I met people that are recent immigrants, kind of like you, like, you know, there's people, like there's a girl I met in Houston, Petra, who's did a lot of dancing in Moravia. She's like, you're dancing too stiff. Like you need to start getting closer to the girl. You need to start just being more assertive in your dancing, like, you know, spicier in your dancing. You Americans are too stiff. So things, I think there's less stiffness, more passion are things that Americans could learn from Czechs and Slovaks. In terms of things I think Czechs and Slovaks could learn from Americans, that's a delicate question. I don't know. I might make your audience mad. Probably just maybe being a little bit more open to change. I would say Czechs can be very conservative with things, and it's like kind of one of those things where if you didn't grow up with it or if it isn't in your specific village or community, it's wrong. So I would say someone Czechs could learn from Czechs could learn from Americans is being a little bit more open. I don't know. It really is just two very different systems too, which you probably talked about before. Like it's just very different systems and lifestyles across the board.
Cool. Some fans or viewers can say that these digital content creators or culture creators can be oversimplifying the culture or traditions. How do you keep your own authenticity?
That's a struggle. That really is a struggle because I mean it's so difficult to not oversimplify. I try my best to show it authentically, but I mean there's times when like there's details that we're just going to get left out. Like for example, I made a video about the history of the Czechs community, and a lot of us are coming from like that Moravian Valašsko area. So in the video, I featured like a little note that some Romanians had migrated to Valašsko and like mixed with the local Czechs to form what will become the Czech community. And people were like, oh, they weren't actually Romanians. They were people who had the Romanian type culture that were Slovaks and Poles. And I'm like, yes, it was like they moved and they mixed the people along the way, ultimately arriving in Valašsko. But I cannot include every single detail. I said they mixed a lot with the Czechs, so that's kind of what I meant. It's like it's a mixed culture that is decisively Czech, but has a little bit of like that like Romanian type element. Mm-hmm. But people are like, oh, we're not Romanians. You're saying it all wrong. No, I'm not saying you're Romanian. I'm saying it has like a little bit of that element.
So have you ever received yourself like a criticism or any backlash online? And how did you deal with that?
Every week. Every week. By somebody. Especially on Facebook. Sometimes you kind of just sometimes I try usually to ignore it or like respond with gracefully and like try to sound like academic and calm. When I was first getting started out, that was not the case. I could be a bit more temperamental and sarcastic, but I've learned to kind of be more academic and calm. Sometimes you just lose your cool. I think it's inevitable. I try to kind of pick my battles though. Like if it's somebody just being really stupid, I just ignore it. If it's somebody that I think is like spreading like information that's not fully correct, I'll address it. If it's somebody bullying Czechs and Slovaks, I'll get involved.
Okay, so if you name it just one or two, so what's the hardest part to be like a public face of a culture? What's most difficult for you over the last 4 years?
Keeping your composure and like staying chill, I would say. Also, there's other aspects to it too. Like it's all so much fun, but things that are difficult is the traveling. It's a lot of traveling and personal money goes into it, so that's a factor. I have a puppy at home. She's actually with me right now in my truck. It's running, of course. So like kind of juggling and balancing different responsibilities, I would say the most difficult part, but ultimately probably it's like keeping my Czech temper in check when I get mad.
Yeah. So I noticed your truck. I didn't know it was yours. So there's a steering wheel locker and a puppy on the back seat. Mm-hmm. Okay, it was yours. It's a smart idea. Lug the wheel.
Yeah.
I have a dog there.
I ain't taking any risks. Like that's something about my family. It's like they don't trust people. So like I think that kind of got passed on to me. And then my puppy Modra, because she has blue eyes, she is very spoiled. Like today she came with me because like I worked in the office today, so she had to sit in her kennel most of the day. So I'm like, I'll bring her with me for this, so she can get out of the house.
All right. So I can understand there are two worlds. One is like Austin, that's your personal life. Then there is like your online presence, Slavic Bros. So how do you deal with balancing these two worlds?
It's very fluid. I think Slavic Bros kind of is my life. I think you see a lot of my life in Slavic Bros. I do kind of try to keep it like more Czech and Slovak oriented. So, I won't post everything in my personal life on there, but I mean, some things I do add to it. Like I'll add things I cook sometimes that aren't necessarily Czech and Slovak. I kind of is an adventure. I would say it's an adventure where I'm always learning how to do that.
Cool, cool. After years of your online presence, what's the lesson you've learned when connecting storytelling and online presence with a real culture? Is there any lessons you learned?
Yeah, I would say authentic content goes a long way. Like going to like see the people involved in the culture, be it in Texas or Chicago or Czech Republic, Slovakia, goes a long way. The interpersonal communication, the interacting with people, the building of relationships also goes a long way. Because I mean, let's say you go viral with some posts, that's awesome. But like really where like you really build the community is like through the interpersonal relationships, like this right here, getting to know the community that you serve and getting to know the people and trying your best to use like authentic content, photos, videos in your content.
Yeah. It brings me to another question very smoothly. So, what's the success for you? What does it mean for you? Is it numbers, followers? Is it any personal meaning? Is it influence? What's that? How would you define the success?
I would say just putting the chat culture out there, if it goes viral, it's a success. I define things based both off, of course, if they go viral, as well as, if it's fostering conversation and community. So like if maybe a post doesn't go viral, it doesn't go like, for me, I measure viral, usually it's like 10K. If it goes above that, I would say it's viral for this niche. But even if it doesn't, if it still like fosters a good conversation and like people are learning and they're meeting people, maybe they're arguing and fighting but the Czech assertiveness is getting put out there, that's a victory. I would say every like young person that gets involved in the culture, that's a victory.
Cool.
And it can be through traditions, dancing. It can be through food, cooking. It can be through, I don't know, serving in the Czech military. Just even like little nods to your culture, heritage in your everyday life. Like maybe getting, I don't know, Czech style haircuts, mullets, or getting like designs on your hair that got a Czech or Slovak inspiration. Getting Czech themed tattoos. Just little things like that go a long way. Little symbols can go a long way.
All right. Let's look a little bit in the future. What's next for Slavic Bros? Is it more YouTube, more events, more collaborations? What's that? What would it be?
Probably more collaborations. I'm having more and more people reach out, and a lot of Czech Americans, especially, are wanting to kind of, have me or wanting to work together to really promote what they're doing, as well as perpetuate the culture. I've really kind of shifted a bit where like I'm starting to share more and more of other people's content they produce, just because I want to show the world that what people are doing in our community matters. It's not just me, it's everyone. It's not only about me, it's about everyone. It really is. It's something where us all working together, I think, is what's going to put the culture out there and get it on the map.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't get a lot of recognition for what they do. So I really want to try to help and, spread the word about them and just show that what they're doing matters.
Austin, within my job, we usually take once or twice a year a bunch of American farmers over to Czech Republic. We show them things, show them areas, show them a lot of stuff there. My question to you would be, if you can take an audience with you to Central Europe, what would you show them and why?
I would stick to the small towns in the Czech Republic. What I would do is I would probably fly into Vienna, then go to Hody, somewhere in Moravia. Then I would go to like Valašsko and like see all of that stuff out there, all the pretty wooden architecture. Then I would go to like towns like Telč, Trebič, Holášovice in South Bohemia, Krkonoše Mountains, Chodsko. And then at the very end, I would go to Prague. Prague is beautiful. I love it. It's a beautiful city. But I think like the magic in Czech culture, you really see it like in the rural areas, not just in Moravia, but across the nation.
There's much more to see in Prague, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. A quick ones. A beer or Slivovice?
Slivovice. Well, I like both. But Slivovice, I can never say no to Slivovice.
Texas brisket or svíčková?
Svíčková.
Nice, nice. And cheesecake or medovník?
Definitely medovník.
Nice. Okay, okay. You're on the good side. Perfect. Let's say I know you speak a little bit Czech too. Not a little bit, maybe more than I even know, and I think so. But what saying or proverb would define you? Is there one you heard or you can say that would define you?
To je zajímavý. Myslím, že slovo, který defines me, to bude...
I know you're a hardworking man. What about like a bez práce nejsou koláče? That's very typical for Texas area where kolaches are well-known product.
Možná bez práce nejsou koláče je dobře pro mě. Jeden slovo, který definuje mě, myslím, že to bude možná verbung. Verbung nebo odzemek.
Okay. You need to tell me what it is. I even don't know. Verbum?
Verbung, the dance, what they do like
right.
At the hori and everything. I would say verbung defines me because like I like dancing, and like verbung has a lot of kind of like freestyling and improvisation in the dancing, and that's what I like. I really like that. Like when I do like these like structured dancing, I do so bad at it. Like I really like the way I go about dancing and life in general is I've kind of got to do things my own way. Like I can't follow a book. So like, for example, like in like folklore, these soul border type environments, I can struggle a bit because it's like, you have to do it this way. And I'm like, well, that looks a little bit too stiff to me, or that looks, or I can't move that fast. So I would say Verbum because it's like a lot of everyone kind of has their own style of it.
Okay. Okay. I'm just curious. Do you remember one of first words or very first word you learned in Czech with the pronunciation and everything?
Oh God, as in jak se máš ogare, nebo pupek pro pupek, klobasa, prase, krava. I won't even talk about the bad words.
Okay, we don't need to. You know, few. Okay. That if you collaborate with someone like any other influencers from Czech or Slovak or Slavic audience, is there someone you'd be interested in collaboration with, or
I would like
do you follow someone you know?
I would like to collaborate with Sara Horakova in the future, like because she was I think on like some kind of modeling thing in the Czech and Slovak context. I forgot which show, but now she does a lot of both wrestling content because she works I think for Czech wrestling, as well as hoodie type content in South Moravia. So she's really famous, like really, really famous, like hundreds of thousands of followers. So it'd be nice to collaborate with her. Or honestly, some musician I would really like to get to know. They're not influencers, but like they're influencers to me. I would like to get to know this band in Slovakia called Partia od Žiliny from Žilina because I like their music a lot. It's really, really good music. Like it's accordion, basic guitar, like folk pop vibes, kind of like Czechomor, but more accordion. So somebody like them, I would like to meet in the future.
Cool. It might happen.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe one of last question to me. I'm really interested. What makes you the most proud when you see your audience react to anything, any of your content? When Slavic Bros or Austin tells himself, "I'm so proud of this." When does this happen?
When it makes Czechs proud of who they are. That makes me proud. Like when I see a video that really has like Czechs commenting and saying they're proud of this, it makes them proud to be Czech. It was a good moment for like Czech history or Czech culture or things that are promoting dialogue with other cultures too, but still in a way that really emphasizes that Czechs are here and Czechs exist. Like, those Guess the Song is Czech or Mexican videos. I like those because it's like showing people that Czechs exist. It's not just Germans that are playing accordion in Europe that have polka tap music. It's Czechs too, and it's putting Czechs on the map.
Cool. I haven't tapped into that, but you're a musician too, right?
A little bit.
Can you tell me more or tell us more?
I'm kind of
What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm kind of at the beginning of my accordion journey. I've been playing it for a year now, but accordion's hard to learn, so it's kind of been slow. I take both European-style polka lessons with Alex Meixner, a Grammy Award-winning musician who lives in New Braunfels. He's really, really good at what he does, as well as Tejano Mexican-style lessons in San Antonio. I kind of started with the Tejano stuff because at the time, that was the only place I knew I could take accordion lessons. And then after I met Alex Meixner, he's like, hey, I'll start teaching you how to play the Czech and Slovak songs as well as the bass side of the accordion, because the Mexicans do not play the bass side of the accordion, but Czechs and Slovaks do. And I'm like, hell yeah, please. And so now I do both. But that bass side of the accordion, I'm moving slow on that. It's hard. But the treble side, I've got down. I can play songs pretty good once someone shows me how to play them, but I still don't have it to where I have the ear to like listen and learn to play it on my own.
Mm-hmm. So I've played piano. You started your accordion lessons. So is there a chance we can play together one day?
Absolutely. I would love to. We can figure something out. I'm not the best at accordion yet, but like we play some song. You send me some sheet music, I could play it.
All right. So let's take it a commitment. And in very near future, I'd love to play a song with you, and let's put heads together, and I believe we can do something.
I would be down. Yeah. At the San Antonio Mikolashka, actually, this violinist from Houston is coming, and we're going to be playing a few Coletti together. So, like, I'd love to do something like that in the future with you.
Yeah. I have to say I met you in person like 3 weeks ago. That was a beautiful event in Bee Cave, Texas. I'll see you on Sunday, right?
Yes.
It's a Český večer event. Therefore, it's in the church for 300 people there. So we'll be meeting up, on a regular basis, I believe. And I really appreciate what you do because I think this area, like Texas itself, whole Texas is full of Czech ancestry. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere you go. It's Czech, Slovak, German also. Mm-hmm. So it's really Slavic. So let me wish Slavic Bros only best luck. Many followers, great audience, at least no hates, no criticism or objective one. And would it be, would there be the message you'd like to tell to or say or send to Czechs, Slovaks, or maybe any Slavic souls living in the US?
Yes, I would say that recent immigrants like yourself are so important to our communities. I really would like to emphasize this. People like y'all keep our communities going. So like we need y'all, and it means a lot to us when you get involved in our communities and like want to help keep them going, as well as bringing like the European flair to it. Like someone I really want to see more of is bringing the European Czech and Slovak music to Texas, because I think it could have a lot of potential. I mean, both not just the Hovko, at folk pop, even country. Like Marpo, the country singer, I would like to see him play in Texas. He wants to play in Texas, actually. It would be really cool to make that kind of happen. And it's recent immigrants that are really can drive that. In other words, y'all really are what will keep the fire in our communities going. Because I mean, I would say you guys mix with the youth that are getting back into it. That are gonna keep things like Texas going. Right. So recent immigrants are very important. Your voices really matter, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks for this very last message. I thank you again for coming. I thank you for being here with me, and fingers crossed in what you're doing, because you do a great job. Thank you. Thanks, Austin.
Děkuji moc a vy taky.
Není vůbec zač. Děkuji taky. Tak jo. Tak na zdraví.
Na zdraví.
From Austin to the world, where the dream unfolds, Czech and Slovak hearts, brave and bold. Lukas AmeriCast, yeah, the stories roll. Real lives, real dreams, real stories to be told. Lukas AmeriCast.